Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching me. Welcome to another lesson. On my side, it's morning, so it's good morning. And I'm grateful because I've seen you're watching the audios in my YouTube channel. I believe that you're understanding and you're knowing English better every day. So today I've decided to teach on poetry and I'm answering a question. Thank you for the questions that are coming through. This question was asked by one Mwangi Gregory, and I believe it shall be of help to other students that have a problem with poetry. I know it's quite a challenge, especially to boys. And before I start this lesson, I want to say poems and poetry work is not as hard as some of you would think. It's not as complicated as some of you would think. All you need is to have a positive mindset on poetry, that poetry is easy. And when you understand the concept, then you shall be able to answer any question regarding poems. And so, because these questions are repeated, if you go to poem paper one, the questions are repeated. So they are if you understand the kind of questions asked in paper one and the kind of questions asked in oral poem in paper two, then it shall be very easy for you to answer poetry questions. So just distinguish the difference between paper one poems and paper two poems. So I'll start by giving you the common terms that are used in poetry that you will find in either paper 1 and paper 2. And maybe in another lesson, I shall now narrow down to specific areas in paper 1 and specific areas in paper 2. So there are those kind of questions that start all the way from Form 1 and even primary school. You have been introduced to poems and you can be asked how many stanzas do we have in the poem. In poetry, we have stanzas. We don't have paragraphs. So you just count the number of stanzas. There is a space between one stanza and another. So that is what we call stanzas. We also have lines and not sentences in poems. So you can be asked, how would you say a certain line? Line 3 of stanza 2 in a poem. So just go to that stanza and identify line 1, line 2. So that is the basic on the term stanza and lines. Another common question that is asked, or the terms that are used, is a term like a persona. Who is a persona in a poem? Remember, when a poet is writing a poem, he has to create characters. I can decide to write a poem today of a certain subject, so I'll have to create a character to fit in my subject. So that created character who speaks in the poem and who is the voice in the poem is who is called a persona. So if you have been asked a question like who is the persona in the above poem, you have to go back to the poem and read the poem and understand who is speaking. For example, there's a simple poem that I love referring. It's a song and it's a poem. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are blue or gray. You will tell me. So, who is the persona in this poem? So, the persona in that poem is a lover who is telling a friend that either he or she, the other partner, or a partner is a sunshine to him or to her. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are blue. So if you are to be asked who is the persona in that poem, you'll talk about a lover who is telling the friend how precious he or she is in his life. So that is a persona. The other one is you, the you in a poem. So poems, when they are written by poets, poets would write poem expecting that there will be an audience to listen or to read. or to recite, So that person who is listening to the poem is the one that is referred to the you in the poem. So you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are blue. So who is the you in that poem? The listener is another lover or a partner to the persona. So the you in a poem is the listener, the person who is listening to the poem or the audience. Okay. Another term that is used is a message or a theme. What is the theme of the above poem? What is the message in the above poem? So in simple term, the theme is the concept that the poet wants to drive home. For example, if it is that poem I have talked about, then we'll talk about the theme of love. The theme of what? Of love. So theme is the subject the content matter in the poem. So there's another poem that I love and I know you know it, called Atieno Yo, of a young girl. Atieno wash the dishes, Atieno do this, Atieno do that. So if you are to be asked about the message in that poem or the theme in that poem, you'll talk about child labor, because Atieno is young, yet she's given chores, so many chores that end up affecting her health. So that is the message, the theme. So depending with the poem that you have been given, if it is about a dirge, for example, a dirge, funeral poems, then you'll talk about the message in that poem being death, because it's talking about a person who has passed on. Okay. So the next one is subject matter. What is a subject matter? What is a subject matter? The subject matter is equal, unlike the theme, which may be stated in a single word or a single phrase. This one is what flows in the whole poem. Okay, so you can talk of the subject matter being the message that is conveyed in the whole poem. A message can be in a line, but the subject matter is what is being discussed in the whole poem, and you can use the same terms that I have talked about. You can talk the subject matter is, with this issue of Atieno wash the dishes, Atieno do this, Atieno do that, the message is about child labor. So the subject matter in that poem would be what? Suffering. Okay, what Atieno is going through. So the subject matter can be said to be suffering. So differentiate between message or theme and the subject matter. So message can be in a line or the theme can be in a line. Well, subject matter flows in the whole poem. Okay, so thank you for watching. In the next lesson, I'll talk about the styles in poetry. Goodbye.